We are live. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Sade Scott, CEO and President of the Scott Center for Observation, Improvement, and Transition. And today I have my little brother, I call him, André here. He is a second year PhD student studying social work at the University of Houston's Graduate College of Social Work program. He is also the founder of Black Men in Social Work and a former president of the Association of Black Social Workers, which he so happens to be at that conference now, right?
Yeah.
Also, Andre is my fraternity brother from Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. And he is also the liaison for the National Sickle Cell. He's the National Sickle Cell Liaison and Director, a position that allows him to strengthen his social action interests in the fraternity as well as supporting the sickle cell community. Andre does a lot. I can keep going on and on and on. He is definitely my kindred spirit. I say it all the time. We have so much in common. So thank you for joining us today, Andre.
Thank you for having me. And I hope my background is not too loud, as she said. And I do apologize for people walking in the background. I couldn't figure out how to blur my background. I am in Chicago right now for the National Association of Black Social Workers conference, but I had to take the time out to be here today. So I apologize for potential distractions if they may occur.
No, and I appreciate you squeezing me in your schedule. I know, like I said, we work from different. I get it. But I just want to one. Um, I told you this the other day when we talked. I look at you and I'm so inspired. The fact that you are thriving with sickle cell and doing the things that you were set out to do. You are not letting your chronic disease impact who you are or what you bring to the table. So I think when people look at you, you are a true inspiration on just what it looks like to have sickle cell and all of these things that you can accomplish. So with that being said, I just kind of want you to tell people how are you staying afloat? How are you so inspired or maintaining?
Ooh, that is a loaded question, but I guess my pointed answer would be is that I recognize that there is so much inequity, specifically, when it comes to sickle cell and how sickle cell is publicly viewed, how it's treated clinically, whether it be um, in primary care or emergency room settings, um, and just how there is a lack of public knowledge and support for this disease. And a lot of times, that the foundation for that lack of support, the only variable that can be explained is race. Even though this is not a disease that discriminates about race, but that speaks back to the fact that there is a lot of public education that needs to be had. That just feeds into a lot of myths that ultimately disenfranchise those of us that live with sickle cell disease. So, a long answer short is I'm invigorated every day. I may be busy, I may be tired, but until there is more progress for the entire sickle cell community, then I won't stop. I can't stop. Of course, it's personal for me because I do live with the disease, but also I do recognize, Lashardé is also in the social work profession. And we recognize as social workers that as advocates, sometimes we won't be able to reap the benefits of our advocacy, but those in the generations after us would. And I don't do this to make my life better. I do this to make the collective experience of those with sickle cell disease better because we deserve better. So it is personal, but it goes beyond that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as I stated earlier, that you are a PhD student. So, is your and I don't know if you've gotten to this part yet. Is your dissertation going to be tied into sickle cell or?
But in whatever way I can, my dissertation will be about sickle cell in some form, shape, or fashion. I'll be getting to that stage in the next couple of months. But I was very clear when I applied to this program, since I've been in this program, that I this is for sickle cell, and we may they may put me in different environments. That I'm a research assistant for an HIV/AIDS research center at our college. There's sometimes where you learn you're put in different places that doesn't necessarily fit 100% with what your personal interests are, but you learn the basics and the foundational techniques that you can translate into your own personal work. So another long answer to say, uh, if I have anything to do with it, my dissertation will be about sickle cell disease. And I see Dr. Iffy is watching. Hi, Dr. Iffy. The pressure is on now. People are watching.
It's okay. It's
I
okay.
am now nervous.
Oh, don't be. When we talk, we just have dialogue. That's just what it
Yeah,
is. It's no pressure. Um, but yes, so okay, so that's great to know. Um, I seen that you posted something a couple days ago. Um, in regard, she's laughing at you. Haha. In regards to speaking to legislators about, could you kind of tell the audience,
yeah,
what just
yeah.
recently?
So I believe you're talking about. I went to the uh, Public Health Committee of the Texas House of Representatives March 13th, and I testified on two bills that are currently in the state legislature, um, about sickle cell disease. They're specific to sickle cell disease. And just a small background, 2 years ago in Texas, we're unique. Texas always got to do something different, but we only have a legislative session every other year. So when I first moved to Texas for my graduate program, I started off with my master's in social work, and we had to do an internship. I interned for a state representative who represents part of Houston, and he is a staunch sickle cell advocate, not only on the state level here in Texas, but also on the national level. They've had a lot of recent victories in the last two or three legislative sessions around his work with sickle cell. So I advocated to work in his office. And so there was a continuation of a bill that we filed in 2021 about a registry for sickle cell in Texas. It failed. Well, it passed the House in 2021, but it died in Senate committee, if I'm not mistaken. And so we refiled the bill to fight for another day. And so I went there to testify in support of that bill and really give the personal testimony. There are doctors that can testify, there are advocates who don't live with sickle cell to testify. That's great, but nothing trumps the lived experience. And so I was grateful that they requested that I come to testify on that bill. And then there was another bill filed by a representative from Dallas, the Dallas area, to basically hold um, people accountable how they treat sickle cell patients. And then they're trying to add different people on, like our task force. But I definitely made sure that I highlighted the fact that uh, we have so many national guidelines from different national organizations about how to treat people with sickle cell disease, especially in the emergency room, that are not being followed. And instead of creating more guidelines, we need to enforce the guidelines that are already established. And so those were the basis of my testimonies um, in the State House.
Yes. I was gonna say, so hi Ray, Brenda, everybody that's watching. They said hi.
Hi, Ray.
Yeah,
Hi, Miss Brenda.
yeah. So last night I had a talk with Dr. Scott from
Okay.
in the Sickle Center. She was like, Andre is the advocacy legislator, like you are the guru of, and I had to second her. Yes, you are in a lot of spaces. You are actually utilizing your voice for the greater good for this particular community. um, I'm in awe every time I see you. Every time you post something new, I'm like, yes. Commercials. I mean, you're doing everything that I think, in my opinion, sickle cell patients should be doing. Speaking out about the things that are impacting them, but also, just putting that information out there so that people are more aware of what it is that you're experiencing. Because if we were to take this back years, people were a lot more hush hush. But I think in our generation, we're just so upfront and we're just honest about things that we one, we don't agree with. Two, we just gonna let you know. So I think, when I see you advocating, that's what I always reference back. Like, yes, Andre is putting it out there in the forefront, not only for himself, but just the entire community as a whole. So I just want to give you your flowers while you're here and let you know that you are doing some great things in our community and it's appreciative. I'm learning from you,
Thank
and then
you.
seeing what you're doing is motivating me as well to be able to step out of my comfort zone. Even though I would never understand fully what it is that you're dealing with, but I have a level of understanding because I'm raising my son who,
Yeah.
you know, say people is that. And I think so I don't put words in PhD. Did you hear me, André?
Did you cut out?
I might have. Hold on.
I think you're frozen.
My back.
I think so. Was that me? I hope that wasn't me. I feel bad.
Am my back?
Yes, I could see you now, and I can hear you.
Okay.
I hope I
You
didn't do
can?
anything
Okay. Because
wrong.
I was like, oh, it's probably my internet. What it is about the internet. If it's out, just stay on. Do not hang up. I'm going to switch.
Okay.
Am I frozen?
No, you're just going in and out.
Okay. Say something here.
Oh,
Hold
now
on
you
one
are
second.
frozen
Bear with
again.
me just okay. Bear with me a moment.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't do anything wrong because I would mess something up on the computer real fast.
Okay. I had to switch internet. I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about
And
that.
you
I had
look
to switch
you
internet.
look much clearer.
I was asking you what made, I didn't want to put words in your mouth. What made you pursue D?
What made me pursue my PhD? I it's so funny because I was literally just talking about this like 5 minutes before I logged on. So a lot of people within academia, when they learn that you're a PhD student, just assume that you want to be a professor, that you want to go into the ivory tower. And that was never my intention of pursuing a PhD. Same with the fact, specific to social work, there has been a prevailing narrative that if you're a social work student, that you're going to be a clinician of some sort. And I never wanted to be a clinician. I've always been attracted to macro social work, as we call it, and policy advocacy work, and tying that into research. So I was very clear, even from undergrad when I was applying to graduate programs, that uh, I wanted to attack sickle cell disease from that lens. And so, to answer your question specifically, in undergrad, I was in a program called the McNair Scholars Program. And it's a program funded under the TRIO program umbrella. And a lot of us are familiar with TRIO when we hear programs like Upward Bound. So we were in that same umbrella of programs as Upward Bound, but this program was for baccalaureate level students, bachelor's level students who were interested in getting into research and pursuing their PhD. And so we got funding. I was able to like do research at the undergraduate level that was published and then also was accepted to be presented at an international conference in Thailand. And so all of these experiences is kind of what drove me to pursue a PhD. But once I applied for that program, I kind of sealed my fate because that was a program that, required you to apply to a PhD program within 10 years of graduating. So, um, yeah, that's kind of what was the genesis of me wanting to be in a PhD program. Because before I applied to the McNair Scholars, my goal was to at least just get a bachelor's degree and go to the house and sit down. But when I was exposed to research and some of the issues that we're facing from a structural level, and a systemic level, I soon realized that a lot of this can be ameliorated by policy, progressive policy. And then also, there is a component of research that influences policy. And that's really what
Yeah,
got me into where I'm at now.
yeah, yeah. I just wanted to know, I guess my thought was that you wanted to kind of make people see things from the lens of, like you said earlier, sickle cell. So I
Yeah.
put words in your mouth,
Yeah.
and why you wanted to do the PhD. But that's
And
great.
to add to that,
So
Lachardé, if can you hear me? Oh, I was
yes,
just I was just saying to quickly add to that, and I think I alluded to it a little bit earlier, but I was emphatic on talking specifically about sickle cell because I could not find any people like in in that space that were doing like sickle cell research, like true social science research about sickle cell disease. We have people that are in, the medical field that are doing sickle cell research, and I read their articles and know nothing of what they're saying because they're talking about molecules and chemicals and alleles and stuff. I don't know. I failed biology twice. I had to retake it. I don't know what none of that says. But I do know that there is a need for social science research specific to sickle cell
yeah,
disease. And so that's why I was like, if nobody else, it was one of those things as if I don't do it, who will? And I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. There are wonderful scholars that do research on like sleep in sickle cell or mental health in sickle cell, but really digging into the social determinants of health in sickle cell disease, and like issues of health justice and health equity. There are a handful of people that I found, while I've been in school that I cite all the time that I probably can count on one hand that's really doing that type of work. And so when I was in the McNair Scholars Program, they taught us if you're going to be a doctoral student, if you're going to be a PhD who's working in industry or in academia, you have to find a gap in the knowledge. If everybody's talking about this one topic, like how impactful is your work? You also have to address those holes that we have that no one's talking about. And so that's kind of what inspired me to be emphatic about whatever I do is going to be about sickle cell because we just do not have the amount that our knowledge base about the social impact of sickle cell is very limited as opposed to our knowledge base about the molecular and the scientific and the biological functionings of the disease, right?
Right.
In my opinion. So that is, in order to add to that, that's really what pushed me and continues to push me in my doctoral student journey.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I keep telling you, you little brother. We have so much that we're trying to accomplish together. And that's why I love the fact that you're always willing to partner on something. So, I just, when Gina and I talked about collaborating with individuals in the sickle cell community and making sure that we're pushing that envelope to let people see, that this generation, we want to work together. We want to see each other do well. I think it's just important to keep that in the forefront of everything that we do.
Yeah,
As we catch more, we catch more bees with honey than we do. We do, because you have a perspective, I have a perspective, the next person may have one, but collectively, there's a lot of information in that, just in that one setting, and we can all
yeah,
use.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank
So, what else is new? What do you have going on?
Uh,
Because you
that,
always got
that's
something going
that's a
on.
loaded question, and I will say if Dr. Iffy is still listening, she had to pull me aside and tell me uh, to be able to receive the compliments or the positive feedback that I get, and I would be honest and say it used to be uncomfortable, but it's not anymore. And I just say thank you. I appreciate you. Um, but at this point, personally, in my doctoral journey, I'm in my last semester of courses, and I take my comprehensive exams in May, and I am terrified. So, everybody, please pray for me
You got
as
it.
I take my exams in May because, um, yeah, um, probably the hardest exam I would ever take, right? Um, And then I should be able to start working on my dissertation proposal. Dr. Eva says she's still here. My proposal within the next semester in the fall of this year. Um, and hopefully by this time next year, I'll be actually starting work on that. So that's kind of where I am at this point. I've accepted two positions in the state of Texas, and mind you, I moved to Texas in 2020, freshly new. I didn't have any family. I had maybe one or two acquaintances in Houston. I mean, they weren't like BFFs, so I started really from scratch. But I was blessed to accept a position on a sickle cell task force for the state of Texas. So I will be one of the members that is required by the legislature, by the legislature. Y'all, my voices, forgive me. And so I'll be one of the members that's required to be on the task force that lives with sickle cell disease to help guide that task force. And then also, um, the state of Texas is planning to apply for funding from the CDC to establish surveillance in Texas. And so I've also accepted a position to be on a multidisciplinary team as it surrounds the surveillance of the sickle cell data collection program. So I'm excited about what's going on in the state of Texas. I actually see um, progress and a light at the end of the tunnel at this point, where I think that we'll get some momentum going about sickle cell disease, and then that's really the bulk of what's new. Outside of that, that really takes up the majority of my time. But I'm just trying to, number one, finish my program and get out as soon as possible, and number two, I'm really passionate again about making sure that not only are people in the country with sickle cell disease given the inherent dignity and self-respect that they deserve and the attention that they deserve, but also here in the state of Texas. And
Yeah,
I'm doing whatever I can to make sure that happens. And just to say this as I wrap up my comment to that question with a bow, is a lot of people say that you're always busy, and that's true. But I do enjoy a lot of like stuff like this. This is not work. This is not busy work to me. This is, what I love to do. And of course, I make sure that I enforce boundaries and self care and all of that. But I always tell people if you ever come to me with anything remotely close to sickle cell, I'm probably going to say yes. If there's something that you need help on, I'll find a way to support you because, again, at the end of the day, I want to make sure that that the attention and the spotlight is shown on this community, and there's just not enough people doing that. And so, the people, us that are doing it, if whatever I can do, I'm all for it, and I really mean that. So, I mean, that, and those that are listening, I mean, whatever that I can support, I am most happy to do so because we have a lot of work to do, and many hands make light work.
yep, yep. That is the truth. So here are all the things that you're doing as far as work. Where does the fun come in? What are some things that put down
Sleep,
the
sleeping. Did I mention sleep again? Sleep. Uh, uh, I mean, but yeah, the fun comes in. This is fun to me when I have a after a weekend where I sleep in, and sleeping in for me is like 9 o'clock. I, I can't sleep the whole day. 9 o'clock, I get up, do what I gotta do, and then I transfer to the couch, have snacks, and watch Netflix. That is fun. That is the epitome of fun to me because after a week of school and other stuff, just being able not to have any obligations and just lay on the couch and be a pig watching a movie, the
Yep.
epitome of fun. But no, I try to be active with my fraternity. You know, I sit, as you mentioned in my biography, I am the sickle cell liaison, so I consult between Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated and Sickle Cell Disease Association of America. Um, but I try to hang with my fraternity brothers, go golf, top golf, bowling. So when I'm in town, or even when I'm out of town, like when I'm here in places like this in Chicago, I'll go out, go. I love the museum. Anywhere I go, if you follow me on Facebook or Twitter and Instagram, if I'm out of town and I have free time, I'm gonna find a museum to go to. Those are the things like libraries. I like nerdy things, um, and those are fun to me.
So
And
you,
shopping for clothes,
yeah, I love
that's
shopping.
fun.
Hey, I probably got too much stuff over here. I probably don't need nothing else.
You can never have too many clothes. Don't let anyone tell you that.
I'll be sure to let my husband know
You just don't have enough money to buy them, but you don't. You can never have too many clothes.
that. But so we're having, like I said, this is not scripted. I just like to have candid conversation with you. So I hear all these things that you're doing. So what is dating like?
Woo!
Is this?
Oh my goodness. Dating is I will say for me, I think having chronic illness poses challenges to dating. And then also being a full-time doctoral student also poses challenges. Um, so I have not really even been because I think the thing for me is that I get so imbued with the work that I'm doing either in school or this, and Dr. Iffy said I have the right to remain silent, but I just feel like I don't have time to adequately date. And I hate that sounds harsh, but I feel like I don't have the time today. I would like to, but it's just like I said, those weekends where I'm glued to the couch, like people want to go out, and I'm like, or like somebody will say, well, let's do this, and I'm like, oh, well, I have class that day, or I have this that day, so I'm still getting my feet wet into the dating pool. But I will say, full disclosure, the dating pool has pee in it, so.
You are not the first person I heard say that. You are not the first person. I heard it.
So it's a little polluted. It's a little hard, but I'm gonna get myself out there.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's on your terms. It's your time. So, I was just curious. Um,
It's a
because
great question to ask, but
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
because
need to date this dissertation.
I'll be right there with you. I actually start this summer, so pray that. So you mentioned your exam. If you can pass statistics, I know you should pass that exam.
Whew. That's all I'm gonna say. The right to remain silent, as Dr. Iffy said. Whew. Uh, that if anybody wants to be an extracurricular statistics mentor, please email me at andremarcelharris@gmail.com because
Listen, listen. I prayed the entire time. Like,
get somebody else to do it.
remember, I asked you. I said, "How did you pass?"
I listen. I'm very transparent. I barely passed my first statistics class by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Like that's another like day, another session. But professors, if you're a professor listening to me, y'all know y'all could be rounding these scores up. Now, if you got somebody that's like less than a point away from another letter grade, stop being petty and round them up. That's all I'm gonna say. Cause I should have got a better grade. Y'all taught us in primary school that it to round up, and y'all not rounding up, and I'm not happy about that.
uh,
My GPA is mad
I'm
that y'all
straight.
ain't rounding up.
Well,
Anywho, that was the point of personal privilege. Y'all need to
listen.
round these scores up so I can get the next letter grade. How you like .4 away from a letter grade and you ain't gonna give me that letter grade? What is wrong with you?
That's,
It's academic hazing. I'm sorry. Continue. I had to get that out because
I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure a lot of my colleagues would agree with you on that. Fortunately for me, I did relatively. Thank God I don't have to do it again, but I did relatively well. I don't know how, but I managed. I managed
listen,
to get through statistics. So, like you told me, you said I passed it, but I can't help you because I don't even know. But I'm
I that's exactly what I told her. I was like, I am the last person you need. If I help you, you might get a worse grade than you started off with. Don't ask me, baby.
I
Get somebody
maintain.
else to do it.
I went to those office hours and I did what I needed to do. I'm a very visual person. So once I had the visual to go with the assignment, I was good.
Yeah,
It's when you start talking about it, I'm like, what happened?
same, same. I like I said, that's a because you didn't trigger me. Now that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother baby. Let us move on before I melt down on this live about statistics. Oh God.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So yes, we talked about your experience with school and the things like that. What is your ideal, like in a perfect, quote unquote, perfect world? What would that look like for you?
What is my idea of a perfect world?
Yeah, what would that look like for you?
And we're talking specific to sickle cell or just in general?
Whatever for you.
Um, oh, this is actually an interesting question. I think my ideal perfect world, how can you answer that?
Right.
I mean, of course, it would be rid of all the isms, right? Of all the marginal identities that people have. Like, there would be no way for people to marginalize anyone else in the perfect world. There would be no disproportionality. There would be no, you know, my thoughts of a perfect world would be to be a world of justice and not just equity. And so I don't know if you are, and I can't see who's like watching, but from what I've seen from the comments, a lot of us are experts and veterans at this work. We've seen there's a graphic that shows people that are trying to view a baseball game, and there's maybe like a short person, a medium size height person, and then a taller person. And the first shot is that they're behind a fence, and the short person can't see, the tall person can see, right? We talk about equity as everybody gets a stool where they're able to see over the fence. But justice for me is you remove the fence where everybody, you don't need a box to see over the fence. You just can see, right? Because there's no fence. And I think to me, that is my imagination or my vision of a perfect world is the fact that we wouldn't have fences. We wouldn't have barriers that hold people back. We wouldn't have, these socially constructed arbitrary lines where people aren't to cross. That is probably what my vision of a perfect world would be.
Mm.
And in that world, people with sickle cell wouldn't be marginalized or disenfranchised in the healthcare setting because everybody's treated the same. They all get the same care. They ain't got to worry about what insurance you got or where your parents come from, how much your mama make, how much you make. Everybody is treated the same. That is probably the most socialist perspective. And if you want to call whoever you want to call, I am a democratic socialist at my heart. I believe people should all be treated the same. Like we're, regardless if you're Republican, Democrat, liberal, Green Party, whatever party you are, as a social worker, we are taught to respect the inherent dignity and self worth of everybody, regardless. And I think everybody, no matter where you come from, no matter what you look like, should be able to access the same quality standard healthcare that whether you are a millionaire, billionaire, or someone, well, in a perfect world, they wouldn't have people that are poor, but you know, you all are treated the same. Um,
Right.
so that's my soapbox of socialism. I know I'm about to get canceled, but y'all would be all right.
No, you're not gonna get canceled. But I will say this just to turn the page. So a lot of these memes that I see with you on them, they they take me out every time, and I'll have to share them later. I wish I had a way to share it now. Can I tell you, the one with the Popeyes cup always gets me. Always. So I doubt it if they're gonna cancel you, but they are gonna talk their mess. They
And that's just fine. I think a lot of the pushback against socialism is just weird. Like the VA, the Department of Veterans Affairs, is like the biggest socialist infrastructure that we have, and most of the people who don't like socialism are people who go to the VA. Like, make it make sense. But I ain't gonna go down that road again. I could do a whole tangent on socialism, um, and Medicare for all and all that stuff. Don't. I'm in my dashiki. I feel real emboldened. I'm at the National Association of Black Social Workers convention. So I've been basically Malcolm X Jr. for the past 2 days. I could go there real quick. Just saying.
uh, I wish I could have came this year. I said maybe next year. Um,
Yes, you must.
but it seemed like it seemed like it's a lot of fun. So absolutely. But okay, so let's reel it back. Um my next piece I wanna kind of touch on. Uh if you had an individual that you, or is there an individual that you want to collaborate with that you
And
haven't
again,
had a chance, that you haven't had a chance to, and it doesn't have to be specifically the sickle cell, just in general. Who would be that person that you would want to collaborate with?
mm,
I believe it's into existence. So let's go ahead and put it out here for the world.
collaborate. Oh, this is so hard because I fan out. I fan. What they call it, fanboy. I fanboy over a lot of people. Um, and I actually kind of got a taste of this at this conference. Nicole Hannah Jones, who was the progenitor of the 1619 Project with the New York Times. I believe, a lot of people know her work. And then recently, Republicans were dragging her about critical race theory and things like that. But she's a journalist that talks about racism in a very raw way. Um, and I would love to collaborate with her. Somebody send this video to her.
Okay, I'm
She was here
here.
at our conference. Yes, please. She was here at our conference. She had to leave to go to another engagement, so I didn't have the chance to meet her. But just that hour of her answering questions and talking to our conference, I, you ever listen to someone and you can't contain your excitement about. It's like we think the same. Like this is, the same things that I've been thinking about. Like, so a lot of her criticisms of racism and white supremacy and all of those things, it just resonates with me very well. And I would love to just get a chance to meet her, talk to her, and collaborate on maybe research. I was just thinking about this yesterday. I was like, what? How amazing would it be like to be like on an article with Nicole Hannah Jones and talk about like the history of racism in light of sickle cell disease? Like I would faint. I would just pass out. So
We're gonna
somebody
tag her.
somebody listening,
We're gonna,
somebody know.
yeah. I use
What they say is
LinkedIn
like
to
a
my advantage.
6 degrees of separation. So somebody gotta know Nicole's cousin.
When I tell you I utilize LinkedIn to the best of my
Absolutely.
ability, we're gonna tag her in this video. We're gonna say,
Okay.
listen, my little brother Andre said he wants to work with you. So
Oh God, I do.
we're gonna plug that in.
Okay.
But yes, it's always good talk, good fun with us when we get together. I just like people to see, true emotion, raw emotion. Like I said, people are able to see you thriving and surviving with sickle cell. We know that comes with knowing your limitations. It's not that you can't do something; you just have to do things in moderation. It's all we moderation. So for those viewers that are watching that have sickle cell, maybe they don't know your story all the way. What would be your piece of advice to them in regards to going after what they want or what they believe
I would say first, this is not an indictment or condemnation, but I will say first, don't let people pull this video up of me and say, Andre did it, so why can't you? And
in?
I
Yes.
said that first to say, I can do it and have sickle cell, and you can do it and have sickle cell. But just because I did it doesn't mean you have to do it. But then also, I am totally not a fan of comparing one person's ability or opportunity to someone else's. What I will say is because I did it, you may have the opportunity to also do it. But also because I did it, uh, you can see, you have an example. But don't pressure yourself. I guess that boils down to, I'll say it this way, like in high school, I was like, oh, by the time I turn 30, I'm gonna be married, I'm gonna have kids, I'm gonna have a house, white picket fence, a dog, a nice car, my bank account's gonna have this amount of money in it. And I am 34 and none of them things are true, right? We put arbitrary uh socially constructed demands on ourselves, driven by culture, driven by society. And I had to learn very early, and I think I'm still teaching myself that my path is my path, my time is my time. So that being said, for those of you who have sickle cell, you may want to do some of the things that I'm doing, and you may not be at the certain place you are. You may be older than me or younger than me, and may not be at the same place. But let me tell you, I haven't arrived yet either. I haven't gotten to the pinnacle. There's always more to go. So don't let that pressure wear on you. That can wear on your mental and physical and emotional health. That oh, I need to do this by a certain time, or I need to do this, or that toxic, I could sleep when I'm dead, or no sleep, or I'm asleep while I'm alive. And here's my philosophy. Because when I'm dead, I'm dead. I can't sleep when I'm dead. What are you talking about? Someone said that to me the other day. Like, you can't go to sleep. We can sleep when we dead. No, we can't. We dead. That's what dead means. Unless I don't know what dead means. Anyway, uh, I don't understand that. But that's toxic. Like, our individualistic American society has taught us, if we don't work ourselves to death, we're not valuable as a human being. And I'll be darned if I ascribe to that. You're not going to kill me from stress because I'm trying
Yeah.
to work myself to death with the chronic disease that is known to have, issues with fatigue, because I need to prove something to you. I need to no. And so I was alluding to, here's my philosophy, and I tell my cohort this and I tell people this. Yeah, I have deadlines, I have homework assignments and things due. But let me tell you, if it don't get done by 9:30, 9:45, it ain't gonna get done that day. It's gonna get done the next day, but it ain't gonna get done that day. Cause guess what? By 9:30, I'm brewing some tea, getting ready for bed. Cause that is my boundary. I want 7 to 8, hopefully 9 hours of sleep every night.
Mm.
So that's a long answer to say, I I want people to be empowered that you can have sickle cell and do what you want to do. But I don't want people to feel pressured to to feel that they see me or other people with this disease doing wonderful things, and we thank our creator for allowing that opportunity to happen. But if you have legitimate physical or disease specific or mental health challenges or whatever it may be that is hindering you from reaching that goal at that time, it's never too late. You still have opportunity if you have life in your body. So don't let people pressure you that you have to do this and that at a certain time. You do it on your own path, your own road map. You fulfill the timing that is set in front of you. Don't try to pressure yourself to be like anybody else.
Yep, I like that. And to second that, even people that don't have a chronic disease, like even family or parents that are of warriors, this may be a time for you to kind of hone in on what it is that you really want to do. Because as you know, Andre, sometimes it's hard for parents to work that are raising children.
Absolutely.
And, and I spill this story every time. That is the reason why I went back to school. I mean, my children really did give me my purpose in life. It's unfortunate that it had to come from this angle of it, but I took, lemons and made lemonade from the situation. But I say all that to say, even with parents, we are able to go back and do things too, in spite of the situation that may be in front of us. You are right. Time. Nobody can put a time frame on whatever your blessing is, whatever you set out to do, it's going to happen because it's already. I believe our stories are already written. We're just living. We're walking in the purpose or the testimony that's set and designed for
Yeah.
us. So to other people, it's like, dang, he doing X, Y, and Z. He's able to do this, do that. But the reality is that your story is already written. You
Yeah.
just moving in the blessings set for you. So
Yeah.
that's kind
And
of how
can I?
I.
I was also just going to say, if I can interject with that too. I think that's a good point, and also the fact that so I kind of condemn individualism, but then I'm also go back to individualism a little bit. Is the fact that also we, uh, whatever faith tradition you ascribe to, but there's in the Christian faith tradition, a lot of us know that there's a passage in our scriptures that talk about faith without works is dead. And there's a lot of iterations in that in other, religious scriptures. But it's the whole point of you what you see is a manifestation of the work that I did that was behind the scenes, right? You see the scholarships or you see, me accepting positions, but they didn't just pop up out of thin air. There were things that I did to position myself to be able to accept those positions or accept those funds or whatever have you, right? And so also again, not to pressure people, but also to let them know that what I just said is not saying that you just sit down in the chair and you wait for something to fall in your lap.
Right.
9 times out of 10, it ain't gonna happen. You have you have to uh, you have to be willing to invest in yourself to be able to get to where you want to be. So I'll say this very quickly. So uh, I was in undergrad in 2007 to 2009. I was not able to finish all the way through at that time because I got sick, ended up in the ICU, was out of school for a while, and then also that was around the time of the housing crisis in 2008. So my parents' financial situation, as a lot of people's, changed basically overnight. And I was at a private Christian college that had tuition out the wazoo, right? This is just context to the story. So I had to drop out of college, um, and I took time to work. Um, and then even working, I never was able to get where I wanted to be because I didn't have a degree. So I was like, I'm coming up against a brick wall. I can't just sit at home, right? I need to earn money to live. I need to, get out the house. So I knew that my passion again was about something related to sickle cell. So I was like, you know what? I could be an advocate. I could, utilize my time and my strength and my resources to advocate. And that's really where I say I've been an advocate my whole life, but around 2014 is like when I really became more of a professional or full time or like a bigger advocate. Is whenever there was any type of training for sickle cell, like so there was a hemoglobinopathy training course, and if Ray is still listening, we were in the same class, and for that class, it was at Cincinnati Children's. I emailed the director of that program, and I think it was Lisa Shook at the time, and I'm still close with Lisa Shook. So I just randomly emailed her and was like, "Look, I have sickle cell disease." I always leave with that, like, please pay, please be pitiful with me. I have sickle cell disease, uh, using my violin. But like I said, I have sickle cell. I see that you have this training. I want to expand my knowledge base as an advocate. I want to attend this training, but I can't afford it. Are there any resources? Like my grandparents and my parents always tell me, a closed mouth don't get fed.
Yeah.
If there's something you want to do, if there's a goal you want to accomplish, you got to open your mouth and let people know. So a lot of those opportunities was because I did things like that. And I say that to say that's how I became knowledgeable about my disease. That's how I became knowledgeable about genetic testing and genetic counseling and all the aspects of, policy around newborn screening. Like I took the educator counselor course. I took the community health worker course. And I knew that if I continued to take these courses, it would set me up for being able to have the opportunity to do what I'm doing now, to sit on boards and things of that nature. But no one's gonna, rarely are you gonna be invited to sit on a board, a state board or whatever have you, with no, like literally no experience in anything, right? You have to invest in yourself in the experience to be able to be marketable. And I hate to kind of play into like the elitism trope, but it's just the way the word works. So I just wanted to add context to say, yeah, you don't let me pressure you into what you need to do, but that's not also saying that you can't take proactive steps now and take courses or go back to community college and learn about genetics. So whatever it may be for your specific trajectory in your life, take those steps, show interest. And if there's something that's going on and you can't afford it, don't let that be your no. Let them tell you no. And even when they tell you no,
Keep
don't let
looking.
them tell you no. Because I've had people tell me no, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. The next year, I apply again. They
Yeah,
say no. The next year, I apply again. I get it. Like I have a dogged determination that whatever I set out to do, I'm gonna do it. Now, again, I may not get it the time that I want it, but I'm gonna get it right. So that's also that soapbox. I always try to tell people that is don't self-select yourself out of opportunities. Let them tell you no, and then when they tell
yeah,
you no, tell them why they shouldn't have told you no.
yeah, yeah. And then even if they do tell you no, you still press on, and then they gonna regret that they told you no, because
I
sometimes
have
a no
stories about
may
that
be
too.
yeah. Sometimes a no may be a yes for something else. It may be another
Hmm,
blessing.
hmm, hmm.
So all no's are not bad. That's what I'm
Absolutely,
saying.
absolutely.
But for our audience, I want to make sure that I have. You want to follow Andre Marcel Harris?
Yes,
Follow him at Andre Marcel Harris. That is his hashtag. I mean his at for Instagram, and I think that's your Facebook too, right?
yeah. Like if you search in Facebook and just type in Andre Marcel Harris, you should be able to find me.
You may find the memes too.
I can tell you, I've searched in the other Andre Marcel Harris's don't look like me. So if you follow them, you might need glasses because they don't look like me. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm the only Andre Marcel Harris that I've seen that looks like me. So
Yes, so make sure you follow him. He is doing some amazing things in the sickle cell world. I am just, like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what your research is going to be about, with your dissertation. I'm looking forward to that. Our collaborations that we have coming up, just a lot of things. People better watch out because we
I'm
here,
excited.
we
Yeah,
in the room, and we about to make some change. So
absolutely.
I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come do this talk.
Thank you.
We will be back here on Monday, April 10th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Real Men Talk Sickle Cell. So we have Mr. James, Mr. Anthony, and Corey from Sickle Cell. So you guys really want to tune in Monday, April 10th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And once again, thank you guys for tuning in. And you all have a great Easter. You celebrate Easter.